I've been watching Scott Adams. Scott Adams claims to be like the best predictor of events on the internet. He'll flat out say it, and he's playing games saying it because he's showing you the game. He's pretty good at what he does, and he's pretty smart at asking questions. He's in fact really good at asking questions, Scott Adams, which is why I like him. I think I disagree with a lot of his opinions, but his questions he raises really good. So it's like, this guy's really smart. Well, like, he makes predictions. It's like I make predictions too. It's like I'm not in the prediction business, but I do run my mouth a bit. So this is a video. See, everyone ignores me. I'm consistently right. Although it's quite easy for me to be consistently right because I just see everything as being like a narcissistic death spiral. And it's always true. So I know what the individual fucking idiot's going to do, and I know that they're all going to follow suit. So I'm like, this gets worse because of this factor. It's a narcissistic death spiral. At a part of society that's got the ability to drag everybody in with it. So I see it like that, and then I understand that it's not a top-down. That death spiral's at the top, but that the environment where that can actually take a hold, it's at the bottom. So it's like, in some regards, the death spiral at the top has come from the people at the top becoming more like the people at the bottom, not realising that the last 25 years has seen a devolution or what's the word? Dysgenic generation come through. It's like we've raised a backward generation. Backward? Well, we don't know what they are, but look what's going on. So they've made it that those people being in the world and having so much voice and being so tech savvy and being able to like steer the ship through imaginary numbers, imaginary force, imaginary muscle. It's like, I can't fail but to see the patterns of it everywhere, and it's a matter, this is a death spiral, and in the end the dumbest will make the most ridiculous decisions based on pride. I wouldn't want to be seen to be the one who fucked it up, and that be the reason to make a terrible decision. And it's like, if that's your decision making progress, it's like you've reached the point as to where human society becomes too complex to continue to function and exist. And you find yourself in a situation where using nuclear weapons might seem to some people like a good idea as a method of maintaining order, or to create a situation of brinksmanship in the imagination of the people would make them more afraid and compliant, because we can use all these old words like nuclear and fallout and missile and 3-minute warning, and bring back all the associations that we used to use back in the 60s and 70s and 80s to get what we wanted. So they've reached for the old tactics. Now, John Biden was being a bit anti-Biden. This is at the time of the end stage of the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and I made this video about Joe Biden, disgusted that the world had found itself in the situation it was in. And now this is about two things. This is about Joe Biden demanding people take vaccinations and making all kinds of threats. But it were also as to where Joe Biden was engaged with the Russians. This is the idiotic time when I gave him a list of things not to destroy. This is just after Afghanistan. I just need to find a way in this, because it's like I kind of digress from one point to the next. So like, if we're lucky, it'll follow. Well, have a listen to what my good self had to say on the September the 14th, 2021, and look at the situation we're in now. All he's got to do it. It's about Joe Biden, this. got the power to do is send an edict down to the people below him, going down level by level by level by level to enforce something, and it's like, you ain't got the fucking power to do that. No one's going to do it for you, mate. Nobody. So it's like, you're at the end of your leverage, Joe. All you've got left's nukes, you know. You are the only man in the Western world who's got the ability to authorise the use of nuclear weapons. It's true, you are. That's all you've got. And if you're not willing to use that leverage, I don't see how you can win. You've got to threaten to nuke these red states. You've got to threaten to nuke them, Joe, because that's all the leverage you've got. Gets me thinking down a really dark line, you know, as to where, you know, the equilibrium of the world for a very long time was held together with this notion of mutually assured destruction if anyone was to get happy with weapons of mass destruction. Tell you what, I think the world's in danger of nuclear war. You know why? Because somebody might be willing to gamble that Joe might not shoot back. Now you see that understanding. I'm not the world's greatest genius for working that out. Everyone's thinking that who's fighting an imaginary or mental fight in that realm. The generals are thinking like that. Certainly the politicians who, they might not be the smartest, but they know how to smell blood. Blood in the water like you wouldn't believe from that Afghanistan knockback. And then it's like, the criticism, do you know the criticism I've got of Putin for throwing down on Biden is he didn't hit Ukraine hard enough, fast enough. Fucked it up. So he should have smashed the place. He should have fucking hit it super hard and said, and you like that. And had it where they were crapping the pants in deep trouble after about a fortnight and it'd be like, please stop doing this to us. Didn't hit him hard enough. Because the non-response from the West happened just as everyone knew it would, or I knew it would. The non-response you needed to get it over with quickly didn't happen. Although you didn't understand that you had more opposition than you did, thinking that those in the world who are your enemies, you know, don't know how to play games. Terribly disappointing that Putin didn't hit that hard enough. Should have smashed them. Right at the start. Smashed them. Shocked them. Knowing that there'd be no rescue from the United States. It's like he thought, right? He knew the minds of the people in the Ukraine, right? Turns out he didn't. Turns out his opposition was completely entrenched and had control of all information and had been very, very diligently building a resistance movement by putting all their people in place in the right places. And then it's a matter of, they've had a half a generation to educate the kids. You've misread how good the left is at programming wetware, because that's what you're dealing with, with the former Soviet population. They're a bit savage, they're a bit emotional. They can be quite well manipulated, as was the system of control under the previous regime, the Soviet Union. It's like they've got that kind of wetware. And it's like Putin forgot that and didn't hit him anything like hard enough. I'm really disappointed with Putin. I think he fucked it up. I think he knows he fucked it up now, though. I think he knows that's where he went wrong. Anyway, there's no mutual assurance from that guy. It's like if you're out in the world and you fancy fucking bringing the whole thing down by, you know, making yourself infamous as being the guy who was the first one since 1945 to use a nuclear weapon in anger. It's like, now is the time to strike, isn't it? because fucking Joe wouldn't do nothing. It's like Joe Biden is the commander-in-chief of not just the US military, but its nuclear forces as well. Doesn't that make an absurdity about the notion of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? With a world around just seeing blood in the water and knowing that any sort of plot to destroy the reputation or the illusion of the state that the United States is, they're going to fucking... You're going to be able to trick them into playing along and, you know, fighting to make it worse. He's good. I don't think there's any limit as to what they can be knocked up into. I want some fucking Peter Doosey style Fox guy to raise the question with Biden or else Jen Psaki is to say, what's the status of our nuclear readiness? You being the only person in the world who can authorise the use of nuclear weapons, do you think you're of sound mind? For when the time comes and you have to give that order, that you're the man to make that kind of decision? People should fucking take notice of what I have to say. I don't break words for nothing. I am more than I appear. And I am trying to fight a war on two fronts against two enemies that are mobilising at the same time, and one of them's the domestic power and the other one's the international. And you wouldn't think they were in bed together, but they fucking are. They move as one, and it's like, when are you going to catch up? We're on the edge of it. It's like the trans gang put a play on a few days ago where the young Joan proclaimed herself divine and transcended as God. Trans people are divine, holy. I'm like, who warned you about this? People may think that my sort of theological, it's actually higher technology thinking than you're capable of. That's what it is. And I'm like, you'll get a situation where you'll get people in power that will get entrenched and they'll be able to, they'll step forward and say, it'll be done and I am right because I am psychic. Excuse me. And you speaking against my word is blasphemy. And that's the end. It's like, right, when the rest of the world sees that that's what the United States has become, the United States will be destroyed because they are given the moral imperative to the humans of the world to say, this is your great enemy. You will have embodied Sodom and Gomorrah. And it'd be exactly as it says it is in the fucking book. As to beware the dogma trap, because there are so many people in the world who are superstitious in that regard. And even though you might say, it's just superstition, it's like you're superstitious too. You've got a new religion that just ignores the wider world. Ignores it. And concentrates on domestic control, whether it be in the home, the workplace, the school, the corporation, the country. And one is blind to the existential threat that it provides because it gives moral imperative to the enemies of the West to destroy us. And the only God humans know will say, they deserve it. Give it to them. There's no saving them. And they find moral purpose in that. And it'd be a matter of, that's how World War III starts. It's like there has to be a spiritual war that's that, that fails and loses for there to be a nuclear one. It's like we can win the spiritual war that will lead to world peace, but we can't win the material one. You should take notice of this guy. He knows what he's talking about. Didn't he? Hillary Clinton, back in the papers today, mouthing off about how bad white men are. She used to put it to the people, you can't vote for Donald Trump. Think of him with his hands on the nuclear cords. And I'm like, well, okay. How about Joe Biden? With the nuclear cords, Hillary. Like, they're not being used, are they, for anything? Be a matter of... Imagine a challenge hit the Biden administration right now where they're still reeling from the last fuck up. And I can feel it. It's coming and it's going to be ugly. And it's like, they need to get rid of that guy now for when the next crisis strikes. If you get rid of him, you can rule out that he'll create a crisis. That already makes the world a safer place. The notion that Joe Biden is the commander of the US nuclear forces, to me, is like, how does this end up like this? Nuke him, Joe. Show him you've got what it takes. I was thinking that this was a different video because I ended it with the most frightening thing that a human being, the most frightening thing you could ever hear Joe Biden say would be the use of nuclear weapons have been authorized. And that's me spitballing down the line as to, well, look, this is directly where this line goes. I'm seeing this from the perspective of your enemies who are superstitious. It's like, I'm the guy, but I don't work for them. It's like, they think they're better than me, so they don't want me. So it's like, okay, you can't tell them people anything. But it's like, I know how they read this, I know how it goes, and it's like, there's different kinds of superstition, and it's like, that calling of the holy war by Russia. It's like, the West has no answer for that. We have no forces to fight a war like that. Why? Because the religion it's rival to, that's arrived, that just proclaimed its high priests as gods, that religion is in no state to fight any other religion, because that religion can be brought down by a simple objection. It's not underpinned by any morality. It's evil. What they do to kids and what they tell young people and what they tell people in general and the way they treat people is evil. And it hasn't got a leg to stand on in the face of humanity. So if you make it about that, there's no moral imperative to continue to fight a war. There's no moral imperative to move down the lines as to say, hey, midterms coming. It's a handy thing to say that we might be on the brink of nuclear war as Joe reaches for the codes, as they talk about it, as they talk it up. Who started the nuclear rhetoric? Ukraine did. I marked the day. I'm like, that danger I've been telling you guys about for a year or two. That we're going to hear this rhetoric again. We're going to hear about this. They're going to go back to nuclear fallouts. They're going to go back to nuclear brinksmanship because it's all they've got left. Halfway through that lockdown, I'm saying next. Now they've had a warm-up. they've put the civil defence plan into action for COVID. We know what the civil defence plan looks like now, don't we? You know that civil defence plan was designed to be deployed in the event of a nuclear war or danger, imminent danger of nuclear war. It's like they pulled it off. It's like, so the next part of the plan for the Great Reset is going to be to reach for nuclear brinksmanship. I would tell everybody. Although it looks like there's a really good Dune video down there that I've made. This is all stuff that's no longer on my YouTube channel. That's a good Dune video. My Dune videos are the best Dune videos in the world because I get Dune. I think it's one of the most hilarious kind of political satires and stories of opportunism by basically knowing your enemy's religion, knowing your enemy's myths, knowing your enemy's legends, as to say, okay, yeah, there's a secret plan in motion here. It's like it's built into the culture of these people that you're going to look to infiltrate that someone's going to come along one day and save them. Really? Yeah. So, what is this? What is his name? What's his name? Who is this man? It's like, he's called Obama.